Hello, everybody. Welcome to Built for Life, Not Just Wealth. My name is Ryan Burklo, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about really the shape of our financial world as we go through life. Most people they think of wealth really from investments. They think of just the rates of return and the compounding effect. But investments are just really one part of the story. The real driver of your wealth, my wealth, honestly, early on is income and what happens to that over time. So today I want to walk through a simple framework that we've actually used with clients. We've actually stopped using it as of late, but I think we might start bringing it back, at least with prospective clients. And we're going to show how money actually moves through life from earning it, protecting it, growing it, spending it, and eventually passing it on. Because income is not the goal per se. Income is the outcome of a well-deserved life or designed life. So let's start with what I'm showing here on the screen. There's a lot of stuff going on. I want to start with this area right here. So why do we work? Alex and I think that we work for really two reasons. And those two reasons are money and meaning or purpose. And the reason we think that is, look, early on, you might just be going to work to get a paycheck. But as life goes on, or maybe you're one of the lucky ones that actually learn this early in life, as life goes on, hopefully you start working or you work for meaning or a purpose of what you do. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the money that my family and I have created from the business that we've created with Alex. However, the meaning, the purpose behind me helping people with their finances has really taken what I do to the next level. And I'm not sure I will ever, quote unquote, retire, but I do want to make sure that I tone back how much maybe time I'm putting into the business. But I'm never going to just stop working because the meaning, what I do for people and what I do for a living is really, really important to me. And I want to keep doing it. And I think a lot of people have that aspect as well. Maybe you have several careers where early career where you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Second career is like really what you're doing from an income perspective. And maybe your third career turns into meaning slash purpose. But those are really the two main reasons we work. And so when we look at that, money doesn't solve problems. You know, meaning meaning gives a direction. And if we can have the money to make sure that we're okay with our lifestyle and we're going to be okay, meaning becomes more important on that piece. Which then takes us to the four acts of money, right? The four acts of money here is we can spend it, we can save it, we can invest it, and we can donate it. Those are really the only four things we can ever do with money. So good planning is really intentional allocation between these four, right? Spending is living our life. Saving is the stability, right? The stability of what may come our way. Investing is for our future growth and future income. And donating might be purpose or impact that we want to have in people's lives. Financial success is rarely about complexity. It's more about consistently balancing these four acts. Which now that takes us to the wealth creation path, right? The green line that you see here. We've already kind of looked at this, but wealth doesn't grow smoothly, right? If you've been working for any amount of time, you understand that your income can be taken away if you work for a W-2 job, or your income will fluctuate, hopefully fluctuating up. And jumps in income often occur where you might be getting inflationary income raises, but you get then a 20 or 30% pay raise, right? So you've got this fluctuation. And the key thing here is when you look at your career growth and the income that's coming in the door, making sure that your lifestyle doesn't keep pace with the income coming in the door is a huge piece. So your career growth with your savings habits is key. Obviously, investing compounding is huge, but I'm here to tell you that the compound effect doesn't really occur. You don't really see the magic of compounding. What I mean by that is the actual huge jump from year to year, and by huge, I mean like hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe $50,000 per year jumps, you don't really start to see that till you get to $100,000 asset mark. And even then, it might take 5 to 10 years to really have huge jumps in this compound effect. And so you've got to have the stability of your career and the stability of your savings habits. And then obviously discipline. The discipline to go through this is huge. So this wealth creation line is huge, but the discipline in those other aspects are also just as huge. Compounding works best when income is stable and protected. So when we look at protection, here's when a lot of things kind of go weird. What I mean by that is we're talking about protecting our income. If our income is our greatest financial resource, right? If your income stopped today, could you not worry about it? Like, do you have enough assets where you can turn on the income stream from the assets? If the answer to that question is no, then your income stopping is hugely detrimental. Like, it can completely erase everything you've built, as well as erase maybe what you want to build. And so there are four main huge ways that incomes can stop that can completely annihilate your financial world. One is job loss, right? Job loss, maybe it doesn't annihilate your financial world initially, but it depends on what occurs from that job loss. So we want to make sure we've got savings set aside and liquidity set aside. Alex and I talk about having 12 months of liquidity set aside, meaning if you're making $400,000 a year, we want you to have at least $400,000 a year accessible to you. Now, I'm not saying $400,000 needs to sit in cash, but $400,000 accessible to you. Number two, if you got sick or hurt and could not go to work for 12 months, 24 months, 6 years, right? Like if you had to miss long periods of time, what would that do? Right? So we want to make sure we have protection from sickness and injury. What if we passed away prematurely, right? Life insurance is about replacement of income early on in your life, meaning if you don't have enough assets to retire, life insurance is a replacement of income. It really is that simple. I think we overcomplicate that. It's just the replacement of income. Later on in life, it might be legacy, estate planning type of things, maybe retirement planning as well. But earlier in life, it's replacement of income. And then number four, retire, right? That's when your income, you stop working for an income that comes in the door, unless you've got passive income streams. But even then, there's some amount of work that you have to do. Like if you can't manage your real estate portfolio, do you have someone that is managing it for you? And who's managing the management company, right? There's always going to be aspects of when you retire, how does that really come into play? So making sure we have a plan for these four ways is key. And obviously the best way is when we retire. Okay. So those are key things we want to make sure. Most financial plans focus on only growing money. A huge and big question that is often overlooked is what protects the income that's building your wealth? This is disability insurance, life insurance, emergency liquidity, financial resilience. Income is the engine, protection is the seatbelt. And then we get to the top of the mountain here, right? We've hit here, and now we're coming down the mountain. Well, as you all are aware, coming down the mountain is actually the riskiest part of climbing. And this is where we talk about wealth distribution path. Okay? How do we turn the wealth that we've built back into income? This is where we have retirement withdrawals, tax planning, sequence of return risk. And what sequence of return risk is, if you take too much income from your assets that are in the market, stock market, if the stock market has down years and you take too much income, you might have a higher risk of outliving your money. That's what sequence of return risk is. And then how do you turn on the income stream? Like plenty of retirees reach out to us and are like, hey, I've got this sum of wealth, but I don't know how to turn on the income stream because I'm used to a paycheck coming in the door. And I don't understand the risks that are associated, or I don't know how to put the risks and the plan together. So a portfolio shouldn't fund every market downturn. That's why you want to make sure you have different buckets to make sure that you can outlive those downturns, as well as just make sure that you've got the right buckets in place so that when life happens, you're going to be fine. Okay. Then we get to legacy planning. Legacy planning down here is, right, to get what you want, to who you want, when you want, right? Money eventually goes somewhere, right? Children, charities, maybe you want to give it to the government. Not many people that work with me say that, but that's actually something that can happen. And so legacy planning isn't about death necessarily. It's about directing your money while you're alive and to some extent having control of that. And so bringing this all together, most people think of financial planning is really kind of going back to my original statement. They think it's all about investments. But the real story looks more like what we just went over. Work to get the income, protection, protect that income so that you can have the growth of money, and then eventually turn on that wealth that you've accumulated to distribution or income later on in life, and leave maybe a legacy for your kids. When your money aligns with the life you're trying to build, something interesting happens. Over time, alignment compounds. So I hope this episode was good for you. This is a graphic that we've helped put together and is really aligned with a lot of the things that a lot of people go through. And the whole reason we started this podcast is to help you think differently about your money so that you can live the life that you want to live. So if you got any value out of this episode, please share it with your friends, your coworkers, your family members, because we want to make sure we're helping people build the life that they want, utilizing the money towards that life, not saving a bunch of money to a life that you don't want. And as always, head over to builtforlife.notjustwealth.com. And at the top of the page there's a contact us where you can reach out to us with any questions from today's episodes, or if you have a question that you want us to answer on the podcast, it's a great way to reach out. As always, check the show notes for the episode link, as well as a financial scorecard. If you're looking at, hey, what do I look like financially? Our financial scorecard is a great place to start. Hope this episode was valuable for you. And as always, make it a great day.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by Park Avenue Securities, Guardian, or Quantified Financial Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments and investment strategies contain risk and may lose value. This material is intended for general public use. By providing this content, Park Avenue Securities, LLC is not undertaking to provide investment advice or a recommendation for any specific individual or situation, or to otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. Please contact a financial representative for guidance and information that is specific to your individual situation. Ryan and Alex are registered representatives and financial advisors of Park Avenue Securities, LLC. OSJ 200 Market Street, Suite 1850, Portland, Oregon 97201. Phone number 503-221-1226. Securities products and advisory services offered through Park Avenue Securities, member FINRA, SIPC. Financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. Park Avenue Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Quantified Financial Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or Guardian. Ryan Burklo, CA Insurance License Number 0K24924. Alexander Collins, CA Insurance License Number 0H24806.
8840720.1. Expiration date March 2028.